pre-primary coordinator Suma ma'am, and section coordinators Radhika ma'am and Sandra ma'am, the PTA members of CP Goenka International School Thane, all my fellow art and design teachers, and my dear students. A warm welcome to ARC, the Art Teachers Convention, Chapter 1, organized by CP Goenka International School and EduAdvantage. My name is Nitin, and I will be the convener for today's program. Before we begin, may I request Sharmila ma'am, the principal of CP Goenka International School Thane, to welcome our dear Jayashree ma'am. Dear ma'am, we are elated and encouraged by your presence. Thank you very much for coming. May I now request Jayashree ma'am to welcome our eminent panelists. Our first panelist is Dr. Manoj Singh sir. Sir is a Pro Vice Chancellor of International and founding head of School of Design at Universal AI University in Karjat, Mumbai. Our next panelist is Professor Avinash Bhalirao, Dean MIT AOE, Anandi, Pune. Sir is an alumni of IDC IIT Bombay with more than 25 years of experience in various roles in the world of design. Welcome, sir. Our next panelist is Ms. Devyani Arya ma'am, an alumni of prestigious National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. Devyani ma'am has a background in information technology and new design. Ma'am is a professor at Whistling Woods International, Mumbai. Our next panelist is Ramakrishnan sir, a PhD from Institute of Dharma Studies from KJ Somaiya University. Sir, apart from teaching, is an artist and a graphic designer. Our next panelist for today is Professor Sudhir Bania of School of Design, NMINS University, an alumni of the prestigious IDC IIT Bombay. Sir is an eminent industrial designer and consultant with over 23 years of experience. We look forward to listening to you, sir. Knowledge is light, and it further leads us to the light. The best representation of this would be lighting the lamp to ornate this beautiful event for lighting of the lamp. We request Jyoti ma'am and the coordinators to please escort the dignitaries. Thank you, sir. Thank you. As I introduce them further, may I now request our eminent panelists to please come on the stage and take their seat. May I request Preeti ma'am to please escort Dr. Manoj Singh to the dais. Dr. Manoj Singh is currently the CEO of Rabika, India, a grand école of animation, video game and industrial design headquartered in France. He is also the Pro Vice Chancellor and founding head of School of Design at Universal AI University in Karjat, Mumbai. He has contributed in various books including Essentials of Modern Marketing, which he has contributed with Philip Kotler, the father of modern marketing. He is committed in shaping the future of students in the field of animation, video game and industrial design and the ecosystem for AVGC industry in India. We look forward to learning from your valuable insights, sir. Our next panelist is Professor Avinash Bhalera, Dean MIT AOE, School of Design, Alandi, Pune. May I request Radhika ma'am to please escort Avinash sir to the dais. Sir has 20 years of professional experience in product design and development, graphic design, and has worked on diverse products from household plastic products, appliances, medical equipments, automobile design, and lifestyle products. He has worked with 15 plus product categories and has 75 plus products launched in the market. Sir has worked with prestigious companies like Godrej Appliances and General Motors. He has been full-time academician since last 5 years, yet active design consultant with a few startups and industries. We look forward to learning from your experiences, sir. Our next panelist is Ms. Devyani Arya. Ma'am, may I request you to please come on the stage. May I request Santa ma'am to please escort Devyani ma'am to the dais. Ma'am hails from a background of information technology. She went on to receive a master's degree in new media from the prestigious NIT Ahmedabad. Her collaborations include Mumbai Film Festival, Habitat for Humanity International, Nandi Foundation, Grandmother India, the Ranthambore Festival, Nariyal Pani, and many more. Fueled by fierce passion for art, at Whistling Woods International, she teaches various subjects related to art, such as art and aesthetics, classical Indian art, Western and Oriental art. We look forward to be enriched by your sharings, ma'am. Our next panelist is Professor Ramakrishnan, representing School of Design, KJ Somaiya, University, Mumbai. May I request Jyoti ma'am to please escort sir to the dais. Sir is a PhD scholar from the Institute of Dharma Studies, KJ Somaiya University. Sir was sharing with me last evening about his special interest and expertise in understanding various storytelling folk cultures in India. He is a professor of communication design with over 20 years of experience providing exemplary insight and expertise in the design and development and implementation. We look forward to hearing from your wide range of experience, sir. Our last but by no means least, the panelist for today is Professor Sudhir Bania. May I request Preeti ma'am to please escort sir to the dais again. Sir is an industrial designer with 23 years of experience managing creative and functional product design for global consumers. He is currently a professor at School of Design, NMIMS University, Mumbai. He was Head of Product and Innovation at BIC Cello Pens Limited. Before that, he was Associate Creative Director heading the Industrial Design Division for a design consultancy in Ahmedabad. Sir is a master's degree from IDC IIT Bombay. Beside design, this is the most interesting part, okay? Like, I'm amazed. I want to learn from him today how he balances and manages those two diverse disciplines. Beside design and design education, I'm extremely proud to share that sir is also a very active watercolor artist and he regularly does outdoor painting. So we're really looking forward to listening from you, sir. All right. So with all our panelists on stage, let me take this opportunity to introduce all of you to the concept of arc. Now if you look at the concept of time and circle, they are very similar. Time, if you look at everything related to time, time is always cycling. You know, there is day, night, and there is a cycle of day and night. Then there is cycle of weeks, cycle of months, cycle of seasons, cycle of years. So much so that even our calendar system is an exact cycle of 400 years. So it would be completely fair to say time is cyclic, not linear. Okay? Now back in time when West was talking about men in caves, our country spoke about planned cities. Our country spoke about sculptures. Our country spoke about art. So it would be completely fair to say India was always the design capital of the world. Okay? And since time is cyclic, what was past will again become the future. We all carry a vision that India once again will be a design capital of the world. And a little distance is left to achieve that. And what is a part of a circle called? It's called an arc. And who's going to run that arc? We will run that arc. All the people, all the teachers, all the panelists on the dais, okay? We will run that arc. It is up to us now, okay? Very little distance is left. It is up to us to run that, extra bit and make India the design capital of the world once again, okay? At this point, may I request the CP Goenka Art Department and a few students to come on the dais for a pledge. Let's feel the vibrations of our pledge. May I request everybody to rise for the pledge, please? One second. I pledge. Please repeat behind me, everybody. We should hear it and let's feel the vibrations of what we are saying. I pledge that I will do everything in my capacity and play my part to help run the arc, completing the circle in time, making Bharat the art and design capital of the world. Once again. Thank you. Professor Ramakrishnan wanted to share something in context to what we just shared, our vision, what we carry with ARC. Okay? So, sir, please.
Sir, the mic is on.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Since we have a lot of art teacher here, and as Mr. Nitin already set the context that India was always way ahead in design, I totally agree because I also come from the art before moving to design. I'm basically an art historian. I wanted to read an extract from Vishnu Dharmottara Puran from the Chitra Sutra section, which clearly defines the requirement of an artist or requirement for a student, a designer and art student. This is a conversation that happens between sage Markandeya and King Vajra. King Vajra requests the sage to accept him as his disciple and teach him the art of icon making so that he may worship the deities in their proper forms. The sage replies that one cannot understand the principles of image making without a knowledge of painting. The king wishes for instruction in this art. and is told that unless he is an accomplished as a dancer, he cannot even grasp the rudiments of painting. The king requests that he be taught dancing, whereupon the sage replies that without a keen sense of rhythm or a knowledge of instrumental music, proficiency in dance is impossible. Once again, the king requests that he be taught these subjects. The king, to which the sage replies that a mastery of vocal music is necessary before one can even be proficient in instrumental music. And so finally the sage takes the king through all these stages before he is taught the art of iconography.
Beautiful, sir. Thank you very much for sharing. May I now request Sharmila ma'am to speak a few words before we begin the panel discussion.
Thank you, sir. A very good morning to everybody and a very, very warm welcome from all of us, the entire team of CP Goenka International School, the students and the faculty equally welcome you all. Thank you so much, dear panelists, for being here and being a part of the movement that we are going to begin. I am extremely thrilled today to stand here amidst all of you and say that, feel that vibration that we have had just now, we experienced just now through the pledge. Teachers, I just want to remind one thing to you. When we joined the profession as a teacher of art, we still, till date, I feel that we are only known as art teachers who teach drawing and painting and craft. But the time has come for us. Instead of calling us as art teachers, the time has come to address us as art educators. And that too in the right sense. If you, sir, already has spoken about the circular time and everything, but as a layman, as a common man, I don't have the vision, the creative vision that all of you are blessed with. I go with my logic, and my logic tells me there was a time when science was given so much of importance. If anybody really gets good percentage in board examination, the child was asked, okay fine, go for sciences and pursue science, your career in that. Gone are the days, came the era of commerce. We were very much surprised to see smart, very intelligent and talented students taking up commerce stream. Wow, very good. That era also is passing by, and now the time is for you people. People who are creative, people who can imagine, who can visualize. Those are nobody else but you artists. You must thank the Almighty for giving you that kind of a strength to visualize something which this science and commerce people are not able to visualize. And today, I very, very strongly believe in this, that in the chaotic confusion which is happening because of artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, everybody is really concerned what is going to be with our careers. How many people will be replaced by this artificial intelligence? But then, people like us think that those who are original and those who are creative are the fittest one and they will survive. So, once again, I support this thought of mine that yes, now is the time for artists, art and design curricular, and be proud to call yourselves as art educators. The movement has begun and we are extremely proud to kickstart this movement with the help of Kaplesh. Kaplesh, thank you so much. We are really thankful to you. Sir did introduce himself very rightly. Nitin sir is the head of the department of our art department. I would want all the art teachers to please come here quickly. Quickly, I am very much proud. All of us are extremely proud of our art department. and they also hold the similar vision. I'm very happy to say this, that we promote art and design as a subject, not only in Cambridge, only for Cambridge, but also for the national curriculum as well. Anticipating and expecting the kind of avenues which are available, multiple avenues which are available, and as our efforts, my art students, please stand. Extremely proud of my dear students. A round of applause for all of you for accepting and for choosing art as your one of the important subjects. And today they all are here to witness this beautiful intellectual thought process which is going to be generated, and take it ahead, because they are the ones who are going to. What is your vision, sir? Bharat ko? India will be the design capital of the world again. So the responsibility lies on your shoulders, my dear children. So today take as much as possible and take it ahead and be instrumental in making India as the design capital once again of the world. Once again, please be seated. I definitely would like to take this opportunity to thank our management in absentia, Sandeep Goenka sir, Paresh Thakkar sir, Archana Goenka ma'am, Deepa Bhushan ma'am, who are extremely, absolutely supportive in any of the endeavor that we take up. And this is also possible only because of their support. So my thanks to them as well. Jai Shri ma'am, our pillar of support. Every time, whatever we want to do, they always go ahead. Because that kind of faith and trust we have in our team. So, thank you so much for being the part of the change, being the part of the movement. And believe me, this is just the beginning. We have to take it ahead. Are you all with us? Great. So all the best. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of takeaway today. Thank you so much once again, panelists, for being a part of this. Thank you, Nitin sir. Very good initiative.
Alright, so now let's begin the panel discussion. You know, I love to tell stories. So I was thinking about weaving today's event into a story yesterday. So there is a village and there is this boy. He is a loner. He loves to walk by a river every day. So he picks up colorful stones from the river. Okay, and he always goes. And there is a place, there is a place where there is this wall of rocks. It's a natural wall, and there is a hole in it. So what this boy does is he puts a stone into it. And every time he does that, he gets two results. Either there is a cracking sound which scares him, and then there are times when there is a beautiful sound, and that stone goes and becomes a gem, okay, and it goes and hangs onto a tree. So slowly, what happens is every time he picks up a stone, puts it in, either it cracks or either it goes and becomes a gem on the tree. But this boy is wondering, why is he getting these results? He just doesn't know. Why is he getting the result that he's getting? Okay? So one day he goes and asks his father. So his father says, inside that hole there are gem carvers sitting. And they recognize stones. Okay? And they carve, they try their best to carve, but if it is not fit, okay? So the boy decides to go to those gem carvers. Okay? Today is that event. The boy is all of us. Art teachers at school level. Okay, the stones are our children. Okay, and gem carvers are the panelists. They are the ones who carve them into professionals. Okay, so welcome sir once again, and ma'am. Our first question. So sir, just to give you a background, what we had done was we had circulated a Google form around, and one of the sections in the Google form was, what questions would you like to ask the panelists? So we computed those questions. So a whole lot of us over here, we teach senior school, and we also are as responsibility as head of the departments. So we also have some say when it comes to primary school teaching as well. So my first question is, given by the fact that we are seeing so much of an exponential rise into the scope of art and design careers, So I was recently studying the newly launched Tata car and the kind of technology that they have come with. It clearly shows that design is the way to future. So what could we do? How could we impact at a primary level, at a primary school, middle school level? There are students. So I remember a beautiful story where there was this person, he was asked to draw an elephant in grade 2. He could not draw an elephant. So what he did was he drew a hump and he drew a wall. And he said the elephant is behind the wall. And his teacher beat him up for that. This was like, the person I'm talking about is in his mid-60s. And he went on to become an IIM somewhere in the East. Okay. What I saw was brilliant problem-solving capacity. But he said in grade 2, I was totally discouraged. I never touched art after that. What could we possibly change at middle school level, primary school level, that could, not kill that talent, or rather support that talent to even flower furthermore? Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I think a really good question to start with. I am quite new to academics. I am being trained at IDC and questioning everything all the time. When I joined academics, I really felt that it is too structured. Okay, and when students come after absolutely structured syllabuses to first year of design, they are nowhere. They want everything on paper, they want marks for everything. And they believe that getting marks is very important than understanding, exploring and doing something new. Okay. And that is my point, that art class, एक period अगर हो रहा है art का, तो it has to be completely exploratory. Students should do whatever they want to do. Okay. We need to, completely shift the way we teach art to the student. I mean, the way you said that एक लाइन बना के पीछे हम बना दिया, this is very important. I have experienced this at my home, that when I teach my kids something, not teach, when he draws something, the way I react to it, being trained as a designer now and experienced, and the way my dad reacts to it, being a hardcore teacher, primary teacher for say 40 years, is completely different. He wants everything. कि अगर पैरेट बनाना है तो ऐसे एंगल पे ऐसा वो सब आना चाहिए, and I don't believe that. I think it should be completely different. Okay, and so unstructuring the art education is very important according to me. Okay, and let there be, let students explore at least for first 3 years, giving them no input कि outline बनाओ, यहाँ subject करो, यहाँ ये करो, ये कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए. And that is where their confidence goes down. Again, I'll refer to my son's son work. So he, at the age of 3, 4, 5, he was exploring anything, and he used to feel that this is best that I am doing. The moment he started seeing that I draw a better human figure or somebody else is doing a better perspective, he started realizing that अरे मुझे तो कुछ नहीं आ रहा है. And that's the very scary and bad stage that you should avoid and allow him to do on his own. Yeah.
Very good morning. I've been teaching in schools. I taught for more than 10 years. Cambridge, IB, State Board, CBSE. And I think that was the finest learning experience I ever had. My PhD candidate did his schooling in a temple, and one teacher taught him all the subjects for many years. And eventually he designed India's first supercomputer called Param. And I was asking him why Param, because Param in Sanskrit it means supreme. He said, actually I wanted to tell what sir was telling today, that India must be design capital of the world. It is supreme, but actually what I was referring to is parallel machine, which is Param. Coming back to your question, sir, what should we do with the students? And I'm very happy to see the students have taken art and design as a subject. My only submission is that you also have to ask your teachers and the students to take interest in design and technology. There is no design, from my perspective, without art. Nothing happens. You see the flights, Leonardo da Vinci drew this, and about 453 years later, Wright brothers actually were flying that plane. And if you see that vision which was drawn and Wright brothers' work, you will not see much of difference. So I believe artists are the creators of the world. You mentioned about art, I'll just add up one more thing, because we are heading towards another circular thing, which is called circular economy. So when you talk about circular economy, I think the art trainers who are here, I would request you to look into the purpose of art. What do we teach? Why do we teach? There's a gentleman I met in Bombay, Padma Shri Dr. Joshi, I don't know if you know. He was with Bhabha Atomic Research Center, and he's the one who designed the atomic plant and also designed oven, which he gave to MIT, US, on a condition that please serve me Indian tea and I'll teach you how to work on this oven. This is what he said. If you remember Kargil War, there was a jacket that was given to military, bulletproof jacket. We used to import certain ingredients, the materials, from China, and that used to cost about 1,50,000 rupees. Two problems. One, that Indo-China relationship is not as cordial today, and 1,50,000 per jacket would have been a very, very costly affair. He designed it. Today it's being given for 15,000. It's completely indigenous. If you know Govinda Rangarajan, who was at Harvard's, he launched another design campaign. He said, can you design a house for $60? So this is the world of design. Design tells you your constants. Art tells you put your vision onto the paper. I head a French school, which is quite well known in the world. And I'll tell you that we don't leave pencils for 5 years. Every student who gets enrolled has to sketch for 5 years. In the first year, they sketch just like you, whatever you are teaching at the school level. The second year, they get a little bit of direction. Third year, they know this sketch will make a car, or a product, or an animation film, or a video game. On this 15th and 16th, we are having something called Games for Change. If you go on Google, you will see. Games for Change is the world's biggest social gaming company. They build games for social change. So UNESCO, Rubika, and Games for Change, we are bringing them to India. There's nothing about violence. It's all about drawing. It's all about creating games on Indian mythology. It's about creating games to teach children why they should play video games, why they should make video games, for greening education, for circular economy. So I think the only message I would like to give, if you know the purpose of what you are teaching, that will be great. Cambridge, for those who are teaching in Cambridge board, I'm sure you know that you have these 3 subjects, very important, rather the most important, if I can take liberty to tell you this. Art and design, design and technology, and there's something called global perspectives. Because design cannot be without context and business. So that's the message I would like to pass on.
Good morning, everybody. So I think what is important here is to also understand that design is problem solving, right? The reason why there's such an exponential growth in design careers is that the world has realized that design thinking is a way of life. So if you know what design thinking is, you know that there is a logical conclusion and you can apply various kinds of steps to understand, so to empathize with people who are going to be using your product, for example. What are their problems? Kind of, getting into their shoes and trying to find solutions for them. Okay, there's always a big discussion between the difference between art and design, but for me it is the same. Art is also problem solve. You have the constraints of medium, you have the constraints of time, there is a subject matter, so nothing really changes, right? With the advent of the Industrial Revolution, design became a term that's the buzzword, but we're all trying to solve problems essentially, right? So my advice to our teachers would be to inculcate an environment of exploration, like he's mentioned very rightly. This is the time when you're allowed to make mistakes. Right? There is no right or wrong in the creative world. So as much as possible, try to build that confidence in the student to also fail, because we learn immensely from our failure as well. Right? So it's important to know that every experience or every project has its own learning curve. Yes, there is skill involved, but nobody is a born artist. If you feel passionately for it, you're going to work hard to build upon that skill, right? I mean, when we talk about the Indian tradition, like talk about riyaz, if you don't practice every day, you're not going to get better. It becomes inherent, it becomes second nature for somebody to be able to play a certain instrument, to be able to draw. You know, so that kind of rigor has to be built within the student, but fearless exploration. Let's not be judgmental about the topics that they choose. So sir very rightly said, context matters a lot. What is the context in which they are creating a certain solution or ideating for a certain project? So help them build that context and expose them to more things. There's so much learning coming from interdisciplinary mediums. Have them watch cinema, have them read literature, books. You know, inspiration can come from anywhere and everywhere. I mean, like he rightly said, you know, to be able to create things, you need to know how to dance, to listen to music or practice music. So expose them to things that they are not normally looking at in their day-to-day lives. I think as a teacher or as an educator, that is one of the most crucial things you can do. Maybe tomorrow or day after it might not connect, but the things that they've seen within the formative years does play a crucial role in the kind of art or design they'll be creating. So expose yourself and expose the students to newer things and just let them be. I mean, we can only guide them. They have their own personality. So work on grooming their minds as well. Because art without a purpose would be no art at all, right? So help them develop their minds singularly, powerfully, so that they feel confident to go out in the world and make a change, because now we've realized that design is a great change maker at policy levels, at any kind of level. So, you know, design is here to stay. So you are all on the right path, is my 2 bits about it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Morning. I think quite a lot of things have been covered by 3 of them. I'm just adding to what they said. It's quite unfortunate, I don't know, probably because our education system is such that it is usually driven by marks and assignments. So what is happening is, the students don't ask, or we don't ask the student what is a takeaway from that particular course, which is very, very essential. Their understanding of, it's not just a curriculum, it's just not some kind of task. So here they need to question the art, question why and how is a very, very essential. The moment the student or anybody even asks as teacher, in fact, before I even continue with this, I should salute all the art teachers who are sitting here. I think it's a privilege to see everyone who are contributing to the coming. So, for the future designers, so you are the one who are actually shaping them. So, you're also the carvers, if I have to say, and we are just, if I have to, it's my take is, we are just polishing them. That's it. So, the students should be very inquisitive. They should know, as teachers, you bring in a lot of these interdisciplinary approach to the design on art. there was an era where art was separate and design was separate, and which, with changing time, that's not happening. Both both are merging, where I have a very, very thin line, even in design. In fact, we were discussing with them some time back. There was compartments. You have fashion design, you have interior design, then you have product design, communication design, a whole range of design. And eventually, that's what is also happening is the wall between them are dissolving and becoming into one design. A design student knows, a fashion designer should know how to design a logo or maybe visual communication. A product design the designer should also know how to get into fashion accessories. So the wall between them are dissolving. I think as teachers, we all should encourage things and make them think out of the box, push them outside the confinement of the four walls. Take them out. That's when the learning comes. The classroom teaching, even as a design educator, I would say only 50 to 60% of the training comes in the classroom. That's it. The next 50 to 40% comes when you are pushed out. It's like you're pushing into the ocean. It's a question of survival. You learn to swim. So I think that's what, as teachers, all of us, not just you, including us, without you, we cannot survive, because our root comes from art. Thank you.
Hello everyone. When I was in primary, I was not an art student. I was just another student. In fact, after 5th standard, I was tending to be a nerd because I was naturally good at maths. So I would not use the word lazy. Anyone who is a little bit of creative, even if they don't realize, they're a little laid back. So maths was easy for me, so I got it. And in 7th or 8th standard, when everyone had to make the diagram of the heart, auricle, ventricle, blood is coming from where, going where, how it is purifying. I'm speaking biology? I don't know.
There is a biology teacher here.
So, but actually, I learned biology through art and heart, of course. No slip of tongue. So, I made 22 heart diagrams of my classroom of 62. And that's when I realized, mera haath chal raha hai. And then I started doing, taking in school, participate in the drawing competition. I got second every time, never first, because there was some girl or some boy making some very neat and clean landscape with trees having borders. And I wondered, let them win the first prize. I'm happy with my second prize because I didn't have those edges. And in fact, I made an accident, a tempo broken by a car and a train somewhere. So that's how it started. And then I went to 12th and I continued my nerd journey. Got good marks, got into engineering, and I discovered, apart from me, there are actors like Sushant Singh Rajput and bowlers like Kumble. After engineering, going to their area of skill, art is also a skill, of course creative skill. And then finally when I culminated into design, that's where I could combine the analytical skills or the math or physics knowledge into art and combine it to design. So the journey has been very kind to me. But then I discovered that it is not just about this, because life itself is vast, and what things you have learned as a creative, how you can expand it, because that's where EQ, the emotional quotient, was very low. And then you realize and connect through the art, everything connects, is what I believe. And if you see, sir mentioned about Leonardo da Vinci sketches of flying objects. That time there was no faculty. You are an engineer, you are a designer, you are basically a thinker. And the the Michelangelo, when he was given to paint the Sistine Chapel, he was like, he was not very happy to paint that. He was like, अरे आपने तो मुझे 330 sculptures का order दिया था. I'm a sculptor, not a painter.
He was slapped by the Pope.
Yeah. And he was like frustrated, you know. I mean, you're telling me to do something like, you know, मैं पान खाऊंगा और मुझे मीठा पान खाने को बोल रहे हैं, something like that. So and then when he painted, he didn't want the indulgence of the bishops and everything when he was painting. So he made his own scaffolding to reach to paint the ceiling. So he was an engineer also, but there was no engineering degree at that time. So art is a starting point where you figure out all the other faculties of design and engineering and MBA. And when you grow, you have a knowledge of all things. But what will differentiate you, as all the panelists mentioned, taking a pencil and making something meaningful on the paper. Thank you.
I mean, I had to just swallow my next question because Sudhir sir answered it before I could even ask. So my next question precisely was that, like, you know, how important it would be. So we have Pragati ma'am here. Pragati ma'am for primary section, she does art integration. So I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but at CP Goenka, we are very fortunate. I worked in many schools, but this is the only school where I have been asked to teach subject teachers. So I go and teach subject teachers how to teach math, how to teach science, how to integrate math into science. Okay, and that all came from when we would look at entrance exam papers and all. I still remember one of the MIT papers has a question where it says x into 0 is equal to 0. Explain it to a grade 2 child. So design a textbook page. So, so my next question is precisely pertaining to this is, a lot of times parents come to us. You know, I said the stone cracks sometimes. A lot of times parents come to us. So there are two questions in one basically. So they say, sir, we are very scared. Like these days, either they have one child or two children. Okay, they're very scared whether this would be a right career for our child or not. And I'm sure all of us are faced with this challenge. You know, they come to us and they say, please answer whether I should send my child into art and design career or not. So my first question into this question is, how do we gauge the profile of a student? Number one, whether he should go into an art and design career or not. Number two is, whatever your answer is to this question, to the first question, is that inherent or it can also be developed?
So I had a grandpa who came with his grandson, and he said that my grandson has gone mad. He's telling me he wants to do masters in game art. I said, you are at the wrong place because that's what we do. So I cannot tell you that he's made a wrong decision. The only thing I can tell you is that game art today is the world's biggest business. $268 billion. And very few people know that when you make a cinema, you know, the Bollywood cinema, the average cost of making a movie with the mega stars will be around 100-150 crores. If you make one Assassin's Creed, the video game, it's about 3,000 crores. If you make one animated film of Disney, the average cost of production is 2,700 crores. Art is a serious business. Now, what should we tell the parents? You know, parents are not aware of the industry. They are not aware of the changes that are taking place. You know, they need to be told that in UK, 11% of GDP comes from design industry. In Italy, 42% comes from design industry, majority of which comes from fashion. They are not aware of this. They need to be told that art is a subject which inherently has science. You don't need to differentiate. That's my take on it. It has science. You said that you teach maths. You will teach maths. Because perspective, volume, observation, colors, precision, I can go on. Whether you make a truck or a car or a product or a cinema. When I say these three fields, industrial design, animation, video gaming, they all have their forms, right? They all have designs. So I think we need to create some kind of awareness among the parents. That's the first thing. Second thing is, which I mentioned to you this morning, that when I was interacting with Cambridge, and not just in India, even at Cambridge University, the biggest problem schools have today is that they are not getting good art trainers. Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't get good art trainers. I would like to recruit game artists, if you can give me. Not 1, 5, 10, 50, 100. India needs 2 million artists and designers only in AVGC industry by the end of 2030. Where are the people? So central government has now created AVGC task force, and I think ma'am will agree because they are a part of it, Whistling Woods. They are now creating something called Creative Campus. Art is back. But art had never gone anywhere. It was just that we put a button on it and we failed to understand the purpose of what it could bring. So I think we need to interact through the schools. Schools have to be medium of this change. And I'm very happy that you're doing this because most of the parents who come, I'm sorry to say, but many a time you'll feel a little neglected being the art teacher. But so is the case with the music teacher also, unless you become Sonu Nigam or some famous singer. But do you know that how much of maths is behind making one piano? How much of physics is behind making one piano? So I think we need to talk to the parents through various channels, various mediums, and organize such interaction sessions. And you, the art teachers, you need to come forward and say that this is the world that we belong to and this is the change that we want to bring about. Because you are really, really important and you are an asset to the country, any country I'm saying, worldwide.
That's very encouraging because though we are art teachers, we are educators, okay, we are really not aware of the kind of scope you were talking about. Yes, I came across a 2020 article where it said India needs around 65,000 designers a year with only a supply of 7,000 designers. So thank you for bringing that up.
I think your question was, is this, artistic skill inborn or can be nurtured?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel everyone is equal. Everyone has capability to create something. He can also be good at math. He can also be good at singing and all. Okay. But we try to shut down some of these areas, compartments, and that leads to something else. Now this is very circumstantial. What kind of background you have, what kind of people you have at home, seniors, experts in schools, when they go out and the kind of discouragement or encouragement you get at various levels. It depends on that. The fact that sir also mentioned that everywhere you see the proportion of art teachers versus proportion of others is quite different. Okay. Now maths teacher is also good at art, but probably she or he took it, some other course, some other things have happened and he has gone to something else. And I know that a lot of other people sort of envy that I couldn't become an art teacher or I couldn't become a musician and something like that. And so at first place, you have to stop doing this. Okay. As a faculty, now we are discussing more from faculty point of view, but we are also parents and we have to stop, being judgmental about this at home. And we cannot go to the institute inquiring ki my son wants to do this, will he get a good money? Can he make a good career out of that? This is so bad, we shouldn't do that. The moment money factor comes in, your creativity ends there. Okay. or your open-mindedness goes. And so we have to go back and ask questions at this moment and at this point, and then things could be a little different. I mean, again, in education and everywhere, everything has been driven by Western thoughts, Western ideologies and all. I think it needs to slowly go down, and maybe our original Indian ways of teaching and all should come back again, so that we will be better at this. That's what I feel. And yeah, even if circumstances don't allow to do that, you can always get trained into that. Okay, you may not be 100% great in that, but I mean, life is like that. You keep experimenting, and someday you will reach somewhere, maybe good or not so good at that part. But life is an experiment and exploration. That is what I 100% believe, and so we should go ahead.
I also have a slightly different opinion about this. I think conviction building in the students is also very important, because I come from a doctor's family, so it was only expected for me to, especially, and dentistry, by the way, which also is artistry in a way, right? But I fought tooth and nail. I said this is not something I'm passionate about, and if design is what I want to do, I have to do it. And my redeeming moment was when I got admitted into NID, which was quite a thing. But I think if the students know that there is something that they want to do, then the parents must encourage that, the teachers must encourage that, because if you are discouraging them, they'll find their own way to their destination. We all eventually end up taking up things that we love. Okay, one way or another. He is an engineer who ended up in design. I'm from an IT background. We've all tinkered with many things, and it's absolutely fine, because it all connects eventually. We had a dentist join in the School of Design after finishing his bachelor's, and he's doing excellent. He's a UI UX designer in Canada now. So it doesn't really matter. As teachers, we can only gently guide them, steer them, help them realize their potential and their interest. And as teachers, you also know that students will keep changing their minds. One day it's fashion design, the other day they want to do game design, another day they want to become a doctor, probably not. But so it's important to encourage, even as parents. I mean, we all have children who are interested in art, but ghar ki murgi dal barabar, right? If we tell them do this, they'll end up doing something entirely different. But I think the acceptance that the world is changing, and like Sir rightly said, show them the statistics. I mean, there's no harm in telling them what the numbers are and what the future looks like, right? It's sometimes a matter of just not knowing. My suggestion is also, if you could hold these small visits which the students can go and visit design studios, so look at the various careers, have them meet people in practice, maybe also arrange the parents to go visit studios, various kinds, so that they know exactly what happens, because a lot of it is practice based, and honestly, you can be really good at a profession and be successful. I mean, there are good and bad people in each profession, right? Not every doctor is successful as their parents wanted them to be. We can only hope that they take up their passion and they really engage with it and make something out of it. So I would suggest that you could make small teams of parents and students and have them visit different departments of design, different studios, so that they can engage with practitioners and get a better understanding. And I know it's difficult to say that money does not matter, but obviously as parents and as teachers, we want our children to be financially independent. We want them to do good, right? But that cannot be the starting point for any conversation. We also have people coming in and saying, "Mere bacche ka salary kya hoga starting?" Like, how can I preempt that, right? No, what is the baseline? What is the placement rate like? Right? But it also depends on the capacity of the student. If they are doing well throughout the 4 years, there is a possibility, good possibility, that they are going to do well and get placed, but I can't guarantee them a job, right? I mean, that's not my job. I can only facilitate the environment where they think for themselves and they are proactive, but beyond that, it is up to the student really, and that holds true for any profession, and that's how things have progressed in history as well. It's nothing new that we're trying to do now.
Thank you, ma'am, for touching upon that. So let's call for action. It's like, how about visiting one of the design colleges for the art teachers to start with, such that we also come to know what new age colleges are. I recently visited a design college, only to see. So I myself has a woodworking setup, and I visited a design college only to see the whole setup being Fender. And I know what Fender, like somebody who has a Nokia Dabba phone, looking at an iPhone, what would it be like? So that was my feeling when so I was like, oh, this is how design schools are these days. So, I mean, how about, since ARC is already approved, how about next ARC being one of the design colleges or a design studio where they also become aware? So teachers, it calls for more networking rather than staying within our setups, within our places, and only decorating our schools, moving out of that. So please.
Adding to what Mike said, I too come as artists. They're called very weird people, So mad artists, they say. I too come from a very, very super weird background. Against my family, my first masters was in ancient culture and archaeology. I'm basically an archaeologist. Before moving into design, did my second masters in design, visual communication, and did my third masters in graphic technology. So completely all cut off different. So what really happens here as an educator, what I always found is the parents largely are not aware of what design is. We need to educate them first, make them aware of, you don't have to create a very complex workshop for them, including with the students as well. When you know a certain student has the visual capacity or the visual knowledge in terms of visual literacy is quite high, you just tap them accordingly. And there are people who might not have a very strong visual understanding, but they have some skills which are very, very design centric. They do have a possibility. So I had a student who did her BA economics and then came and joined product design. So on that note, I also wanted to throw a question at all of you, being artists. Do you think India did not have, when we say illustration, we always take an inspiration from the Western context and say, do you think India did not have illustration? Anybody, any thought on that? Because we are training them. We are training our students. Do you think India did not have any? It has, right? Do you think India did not have animation? It has. So it is said, so it is said that the actual painting in India stops with Ajanta. Ajanta painting is a very, very mysterious painting. When it comes to, we're talking about, it's called as the visual narrative grammar. You have a grammar in English, right? When you write a script and you have the, how do you structure a report or an essay. Similarly, when you look at visual literacy or visual, that is a grammar. So you interact with that space, you interact with that, you decipher. That is unlike the modern comic strip where everything comes in strips in frames. Ajanta stops with that. Everything stops with Ajanta. Then after 300 years, you have, or from the rise of the Vijayanagara period, you have all the temple murals coming up again. What do you think those are? The same thing that you see in Amachitra Katha or any of the comic strips or any of the Western. How was one interacting with space? And the students must be informed, students must be made aware of all these. It's very, very essential. Architecture was not separate from design. No. They all went in hand. The way you circumambulate around the temple, you're also interacting, you're reading the story and going. We're talking about animation. What is the Hoysala temples? When the whole thing, the concept was made with the sunrise and sunset. As the shadow moves across, there is an animation happening. Please take your students. It's an experience. I think this is all very essential when we come out and we learn, we educate the parents and the teacher, make them aware of what are the possibilities. And the first step, as rightly pointed out, just visit the design schools. You can start with that and can hold small workshops for parents and even students. What are the design opportunities available? What are the different design schools available are there in India? What is the difference between very standard dialogue, difference between art and design? Though we keep saying the wall is breaking, but at some point, okay? And I think that would really expose them to what is really happening.
I think art students need a lot of belief before they are ready to take up or get learned, because it is said that a teacher appears when the student is ready, and but it is not for mathematics. We all have to learn, even if we are ready or not. We have to all learn science, when we are ready or not, biology, geography, everything, because there's marks. So let's keep this area of arts where there is no friction. It goes back to the roots, as many examples were given, fine examples given by Ramakrishnan sir. I think let them not have this one area, be it painting, drawing or singing. There is no friction, there is just natural learning, and we are just engaging that or enhancing that or just guiding that. And then when I believe in that, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And those are the things, then you pick them up and guide them. And it will show itself in their, so even for that matter, I'm trying to distinguish between the sciences and the arts, but no. Even in the arts, when you go JJ curriculum, which I have a fair idea, there are so many things. You learn to make a proper leaf, then you observe the chlorophyll level, and that should come into your texture. It's so involved, not as simple, not as complex as biology or maths or anything.
Leonardo da Vinci is one of the finest examples of that. Leonardo da Vinci
Yes,
is one of
yes.
the finest examples of that. This inversion of rocks that he painted, a biologist can literally tell the subspecies of the plants that he has painted.
Yes.
So
So let the student discover that everything is connected in the arts, and that's how they will be encouraged and learn more. And in fact, maybe have more people come into this because of that. Thank you.
So moving on, I didn't plan this, but it's happening chronologically somehow. So moving on, the whole process of portfolio building. So a lot of times students are asked to build a portfolio for their design college application. Okay? Now again, within this I have two questions. One is, I have faced this challenge a lot of times, that students try to approach the portfolio building process to lure the college. Number one. Number two, how important is building a portfolio to really understand the stream of design you want to actually get into at the onset? And within this, the third question, or I'll ask the third question later. So two questions. One is, what should be the approach to portfolio building? Another is, material exploration. Is it meant for you to understand which stream of design you want to get into?
Okay, So maybe I'll try first. So again, I'll go to the basics of this. I don't believe that students maybe at the age of say 16 or 18 are ready to pick up any specializations. Okay, but you need to only understand कि उसमें कीड़ा है क्या, उसमें वो कुछ है क्या, वो genes है कुछ है, that we need to understand. So I am doing this portfolio evaluation or whatever, going through a lot of portfolios these days during admission time, and looking at the portfolio, I know that this guy has come from some coaching. So 70% people have come from coaching, and most of their contents are me too, same. Okay, and I can clearly understand that the 30% people have not gone through the training. But you can see the finesse, some nuances, some kind of a, I would say, कुछ तो एक छोटा element दिख जाता है कि we know कि ये creative है. So we segregate that because I cannot merit them based on somebody who got opportunity to do the coaching and somebody who didn't. So more than portfolio, I personally prefer to understand the personality. कि उसमें कुछ है क्या अलग? Is he thinking in a different way? A poem itself is good enough to tell me कि हाँ sketching अच्छा नहीं, but he can think very abstractly, differently. He can look at the things and narrate a situation in a poem itself is such a creative process. So I think more than structured portfolio building, encouraging and understanding that person's inherent art skills or abstract skill is more important for me. Yeah.
So, but a lot of times, I mean, I totally agree with you, but a lot of times, children go through this anxiety that I'm not able to understand. So, I always joke about this that, a lot of times we get students at 16, all girls say I want to be a fashion designer, all boys say I want to be an automobile designer. Please, I mean, I would want an answer to this question that if I happen to choose a wrong stream at the onset, okay, because there are certain colleges which are asking you to select streams at the onset. If I end up selecting wrong stream at the onset, is that a fearful situation or that's undoable?
No, I think again, so most of the design institutes, first year is foundation year, which is common for all, and after that you get another chance to select your right discipline. Okay, that is one way of looking at it, and that gives a fair exposure to third, fourth year students, senior students, what they are doing, understanding what as a person my capabilities are which I can develop, or am I really interested in automotive or fashion or something else. Okay, so that you get almost 11 months, 10 to 11 months to decide that. So that is the first stage. Next stage is not to have that anxiety. Even if you are learning fashion, tomorrow you can definitely use that knowledge to work in automotive interiors. Okay, and vice versa. You can maybe bring a more organized, more industrious approach into fashion, and you can work. I'm just giving two extreme examples, and that can happen. So most of us are also told, though we are not that celebrated, but somehow either probably a luck or accident have taken us back to the creative roots. Okay, so why to worry कि मैंने wrong कुछ choose कर लिया? Maybe 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line, something will bring you to the, your core. So that's what matters.
Yeah, I'll have to be little specific because different schools will have different assessments. We follow the uniform induction process, which means we prefer students with portfolio, but we also take students who have no portfolio. Now that leads to another belief that student and institution together can build that competence that they will become successful designers. And I believe we have been little successful in that. Whatever we are talking today, if you know about new education policy, all you teachers, I'm sure people are coming and talking to you. Very soon you might not need to take physics, chemistry, maths to become engineer. You might take Sanskrit, music and physics and you can become engineer. Now this is an approach which France has always had. And I'm talking about the better side of it. For example, we have students working in companies, and I'll name Ferrari, Bentley, Tata, Mahindra, with no science background. They were artists, they produced certain designs. If you know XUV 700, the student, one of our students, he has no background of science. But as I told you that after 12th when you come, and if you want to go into transportation design, you have those 4 or 5 years to understand the mechanics of transportation or mobility design, which is quite doable. And that's why I said that the intent and purpose is very, very important. I would also like to add, just to where she ended, that what is the salary of these people? Sorry, I'm just... you know Apple? How's the company? Apple Computers? Is it an art company or a science company? I know it's a weird question, but any guess? People usually talk about Stevie Jobs and Wozniak, the founders of Apple. But nobody talks about the Design Studio, who actually gave forms to Apple, and which that form made Apple successful. We had laptops, we had computers. IBM made hardware much before Apple did. But it was that form. And that is the power of being a designer. You get good salaries. You know Mr. Royce? I'm sure you know Rolls Royce. He was not an artist. I would like to give both the pictures. He never sketched. Thrice he went to school, he couldn't pay the fees, he was asked to leave. So he went and joined a garage. He started learning there. And that's the man who dreamt of one of the world's most expensive car, and he made it. So it's about determination, perseverance, foresight, and one very important element of that happens to be art. Okay. Design, of course, is that.
So I agree that every design school will have their own policy of whether they need a portfolio or not. But the general trend that we are observing, in fact we were just discussing it, is that sometimes the portfolios are overfinished. Each coaching institute is reflecting a certain aesthetic. You know, if I look at a portfolio, I'm able to gauge ye BRDS hai, ye Silica hai, etc., etc. You know, so that is the wrong thing, because we are, unfortunately, the institutes are overcoaching the students so much that each portfolio is losing its individuality, right? So we are not really looking for finished works, right? This is just a way of demonstrating intent and purpose, for example. So if it's a little raw, if it's a little unfinished, in fact, we appreciate the portfolios that come from students who are not part of a coaching institute. I'm not saying that, you know, it's bad to go to these places, but I think it's important to stay true to what you feel is important, right? So even if the work is unfinished, how do you demonstrate intent is by showing a work that you've created. And it doesn't has to be constrained to visual art. If like you can write poetry, that's great. If you can perform for us, we are more than happy, right? It's what we are looking for in any student is learnability. You know, the intent to learn more than being skilled. We are not looking for Da Vinci's to join our design school, right? That's perfection already achieved. We're looking for someone who is willing to go through the process and discover themselves and be sure of the path that they want to take. So if I join in visual communication design and tomorrow I decide, no, I want to do art direction for films, I may very well do that. So there is no constriction in that sense. You can also practice different designs. I think we cannot emphasize on the interconnectedness of things. Everything is connected. So all the learning experiences that you've had so far will amount to something that you will do later in the future. So don't sit, and if it means changing courses or changing paths, so be it. You know, in the long, as young individuals, it really matters also to parents that, oh, I lost a year. But in the larger scheme of things, all this is, it does not matter at all. You know, as long as you are where you want to be, You might take slightly longer, but I think be a little assured and trust in yourself. As an educator and as a student, trust your gut. I think it's the most important thing you could do. But I would say it's always nicer to have a portfolio because it helps us understand people better. What is the aesthetic? What is the sensibility? What are the interest points? So always a portfolio versus no portfolio. So carry something, but carry something meaningful, carry something genuine that you have worked on. Because somewhere we do have, as educators or as designers, we do have that sixth sense, I would say, that helps you identify if it's done by the student or not. You know, because we also have a creative aptitude test. So when I see that they're able to do this much in an hour and then I see a pencil sketch that is, you know, leaps and bounds better, then it makes me question how is it, why is there such a disparity, right? You can gauge the line quality, you can gauge the understanding of scale and proportion. So please push your students to not look for perfection this early on. It's the intent that matters before anything else. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, that was so reassuring. I could, as I said, that little boy could not understand what happened inside that hole. So one of my students cracked a college only based on a scrapbook. He didn't have the time to make a portfolio. And today I got the answer that you were looking at the intent and the potential to learn rather than. Thank you very much.
In fact, we ask for non-portfolio things. Show me your sketchbook, show me your doodles, because those are far more expressive in the sense that I'm able to understand the thought process. So make sure you carry extra things. It could even be a little sculpture you've done. It could be really anything, it doesn't matter. As long as you engage with material, I think that exploratory nature is what is appreciated than a far more finished sort of graphic design portfolio.
Again, every design school, the requirement is quite different. Unfortunately, the last two schools that I was teaching, had a very similar approach to the portfolio. So what happens is, as rightly said, now there is a very portfolio template that comes. The moment you look at it, and it's very difficult. So if I'm on the panel, if I'm looking at the student's work, I would rather see his sketchbook. Over the years that he has maintained, it could have poems, it would have from his travel, his ticket stock, so many things, coffee stains, his small sketches, doodles, and all those things that he had. That helps me gauge the strength of the student. Whether he's a good in communication, a good writer, whether good in his art, a certain line quality, certain illustration techniques that he might have. So I would rather look into that than, of course, the portfolio is it is a requirement. We have no choice, that is it. And there is always a question, there is a fear in the student, mera portfolio bana nahi. Okay? Even at this age, mera portfolio still nahi bana. It will never happen. When you reach your fourth year also, there's still students struggling that portfolio. It's not going to get complete ever. It's a fact. I'm sure all of you would agree when you're working on your portfolio, it's still in process. So kabhi nahi khatam hoga. It's just like that, And another question to answer is about the fear of choosing a wrong discipline, I think that's not a major concern, that because when most of the design school, you have the foundation year. Okay, some of the schools call it the first year studies, some of them call it as the foundation year, various schools call different names, the first year studies. Then you get to choose, in case I am enrolling for communication design. And over the period of time, after 2 semesters, I am realizing I'm more aligning to a fashion styling and communication, or interior design, or product design. I can still switch. There is a possibility. And even if you specialize, as I said, every fashion, the question comes, at least in my previous organization, we used to have a course called communication design, basically visual communication, and there was another course called fashion styling and communication. So both of them taught branding, both of them taught UI UX, both of them taught strategic design. So there was another course called strategic design. So the parents would be concerned and asking, students would be concerned, what is the difference between all the 3 courses? The idea is there's a lot of going to be overlap. A lot of things you're going to take away. When a student specializes in certain discipline and go ahead, he might be a fashion designer. He might end up getting a job in a product design. A product designer getting a job in a UI UX. So this is a change. A designer, he's a designer. He's not termed by a product or a visual communication or an animator. He is a designer who will be able to handle a wide range of. So I don't think students should be concerned. Once the faculty instills the confidence in the student and the parent, telling them there is an opportunity. So the moment there is a major concern is also comes when I'm getting into fashion. Will I get a job? Will I get something? We're getting into product design. Hardly there is any job. All these questions will come. I don't think that should be. Don't look at it at this point of time. There is opportunity that things are all changing. Right from the time when I started into what I'm right now, it's a long way.
Thank you, sir.
Portfolio, I will talk about 2 kinds of portfolios. The one which I made for IDC, and the other when we were a design consultancy, going to a company and sharing our portfolio.
Sure, sir.
So my portfolio was, we didn't have coaching, thank God, that time. But so I was figuring what to make because I had some sketches, landscapes, and Batman, Spider-Man, Shah Rukh Khan face and everything on lined notebooks and everything. So someone just told me that if you're like
Hollywood actor.
yeah. So someone told me that yeah, it is fine. These are doodles and these are, but they are not doodles. They are that time there were no word called as doodles also. It was just lecture में bore हो गए तो sketch किया kind of thing. It is not even classified as doodle. So it is called not paying attention in the lecture. So, but for me it was engaging. So those things I took to just a guide, not a teacher. And he told me, and he was also from films. So, because my uncle knew him, I mean, not a design faculty. So he told me that, yeah, this is good, I can see what you are doing, but make a proper format. If you're making sketches of different types, I'm seeing that you're making sketches of portrait also, landscape also, a ship also, anything also. So you make in a proper size, and you make a proper folder. And we didn't have so many folders that time, so I made my own folder. Then I saw that someone writing name on the folder in a creative way. So I did some hatching lines in crisscross, and if you squint your eyes, you can see Sudhir there. So all that. So I was wondering whether this will be liked by the esteemed faculty of IDC, where only few people get. And I was wondering what will happen. I made a chair, folded chair, a stackable chair, but with paper folding. And then I made an armchair with a jhadu ka lakadi and cardboard, and it was like folding. And I was very inconfident, but in my flow, I went there. नहीं मिलेगा तो इंजीनियरिंग तो है ही मेरे पास 5,000 का 6,000 का तो सैलरी होने ही वाला है, I was happy with that. And and in the interview he asked me nothing about my portfolio. He just saw this and left it aside, and he asked me, these are the 5 pens, which one would you choose? I was wondering what happened in this interview. Some people, they were asking what this bottle is made of, what this casted part is made of, and I was really scared, and nothing of this was asked. आपको कौन सा पेन अच्छा लगा? ये पेन अच्छा लगा तो आप बॉस को कौन सा पेन दोगे? आपके अभी बॉस है कोई, हाँ ये पेन दूंगा, तो आपको तो ये अच्छा लगता है, आप ये पेन क्यों दोगे? So I think coming back to the point, what I agree with madam is basically the viewer of the portfolio is looking at learnability and curiosity and the personality that is there inside of it. Coming to the professional, we had a lot of products portfolio as a company. Bottle design like this one, I know what is the weight of this bottle actually without the water. So we know all this. And we had bottle design, we had laboratory equipment design, we had some एक टू व्हीलर डिजाइन किया था एंड वो भी मैंने नहीं किया था. Some those designers left our company and we had a lot of products, mixer, juicer, water heater and all those. And we went to Hero Cycles to get a project and he was asking, how can you design Hero Cycles? Have you done any cycle before? And no. And so he asked me some questions and then he asked me the questions of design language. आपको design language के बारे में पता है? Because I know that they know cycle better. I know design. And I have to communicate to that person who is already a CEO with a marketing director sitting them. They are not looking at whether I can make a cycle, whether I'm able to answer their questions. So their question was on what is the design language. So obviously you talk about BMW, their design language, and they got convinced. And so we were not scared whether we had a cycle in my portfolio pitching for Hero Cycles. And we were in the stage where there were many people in our team who were like, we can rely on him. Isko de diya to he will take out a beautiful product. And we had no such team because everyone had resigned. And we had interns from MIT in Lumia who were willing to learn. And we executed a project with them, going to Bihar mein Ara Chapra, all those places, getting the user insights and everything. So don't be scared about what should be there in your portfolio. You present what you are inside, and it should reflect in that portfolio. That's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you. As much as we want to continue and asking more and more questions, I think now we should give the opportunity to teachers who have come here to ask questions. So we have some students with the mic. Yeah. Anybody would like to ask any questions to the mic, please? Please feel free. It would be a very basic question.
Good morning. I would just like to ask, what is the scope of art as a therapy for the children?
I can go for that. Being a product designer for 10 years, part story तो बताइए मैंने. Drawing करता था, फिर engineering किया, फिर product design में आया, and then I forgot drawing and painting. And of course, the world catches you and you have stress. I thought that I will never have stress because my career is design, which I like, so I'll not have stress. But life will have problems, will have stress. Some stresses are necessary, some are unnecessary. And when I'm saying unnecessary, because I feel it is unnecessary. It may be necessary, you understand later on in life. And at that time, after 10 years of working, 10 or 12 exactly, 10 years exactly, I had my daughter, and she was just 6 months, and I had some projects, the workload was there, projects were there, and there was a lot of stress of the other aspects of the company, like, projects, deliveries, scheduling, the taking the collection of payment from the clients, and all those things were getting on. At that time, I started with my landscape painting, which I had done in 12th and 11th, 12th, and college fests I used to participate. So I connected back, and we were sitting at a coffee shop and just blabbering about design. Like a lot of intellectual talk we do. We call it intellectual. It's a dumb talk. And so someone would take up a very interesting question. What do you want to do? Apart from careering, what do you really want to do? So someone said, I would like to read books. And someone said, I would like to have a pet. And I have 5 pets in my house. So I said, I have to go back and sketch. There are 52 weeks in a year. If I sketch once a week, I will have 52 paintings. 52 में से 10 तो अच्छा बनेगा, उसमें से एक तो ऐसा होगा जो मैं गैलरी लगा सकूँ, नेक्स्ट ईयर 52 में से 10 होगा जो गैलरी में जा सकता है, and obviously it will increase. And I declared that to that discussion about me, and the next year I put that into practice, and it was really and later on, after continuing doing that and liking it, and when the stress really happened in the professional world, that was a solace, you know. Sitting down to sketch on a weekend, or sitting down to sketch if I'm early from home, is a great stress buster, and it's automatically, because you are zoned out, you are into that how the medium is going, blend ho raha hai, watercolor to it's unpredictable, so it really works that way. Thank you.
That answers that question. Why is a product designer also doing watercolor painting? Yes, sir.
Sir wanted to say something. Radhakrishnan. She wanted to say something.
I think art is definitely a therapy. I can give my own personal example. When I relocated from Mumbai, so living in an unknown city, I got back to, that is when you don't need a therapist to tell you it is a treatment for you, what is the best, let us say. Art really helped because I specialize in tangible painting, and I've taken a sabbatical and stayed with the artists for 8 months. I've learned, and I also specialize in Kerala mural and Patachitra. These are my 3 specializations, and it really helped. The kind of number of paintings that I did during my stay in Pune for 4 years. And when I came back, I took a long gap because traveling in Mumbai, a lot of, especially your workout is replaced, morning jogging is replaced by running for the trains, local trains, and catching your Ubers and other things happen. I think I took a long break, and then I was craving for, I realized I was missing something about, something, my life pattern has changed. That's when a couple of years back I just got, because the work pressure, being a teacher is as bad as being in the corporate world. It's not easy. Okay? It's absolutely. So the thing is, people say, you guys enjoy vacation. The corporate people say, my friends tell me, you have vacations, you have this, Dealing with 100 odd students in a day, I think hats off to all the teachers. Yeah, so all these happens, and when I got back, I think it really, when there is nothing as for me when I use it, I will never use the term as depression. Doesn't exist. When you're an artist, when you get into it, it's something you draw your strength from your art. Or any kind of artist. Artist doesn't mean you're just doing a visual art. It can also be anybody indulging in a digital art or reading, creative writing. All these are form of art. Cooking, absolutely, the big time stress buster. So when I moved back to Bombay, I had to experiment on my dad. I told him for 6 months, please withstand whatever I'm cooking. Poor man, he did. So again, it's another stress buster. So I think definitely is a good therapy.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Ratna Shad Goenka. I design the curriculums for the Podar schools. We have about 145 schools in India, and we deal with about 300 art educators. And through the years, I'm really seeing, when we spoke about this, the struggle of having well-trained art educators. And I feel very passionately about this area. I'm just wondering what your opinion is on how we can train them better. Also, how are they incentivized to do well at their work, is what I want to understand. Because we understand what they get paid, like you said, we understand the stresses of their job, right? It's an emotional job, physical job, you have to have the skill. All of this, they require in the classroom. So, 2 questions to you once again. One is, how can we incentivize teachers, and I'm finding especially teachers in smaller cities, rural areas, so difficult to find good art educators. So incentives, and then how can we really have a potent art training school or college for the art educators? Because I believe art, we are affecting the pipeline. If we want to, really have a great output of designers and product, designers, animators, and so forth, we have to first affect what is going into the pipeline, which is happening at the school level. So how to really affect that?
Good question. So I'll tell you, there's been a debate of late about skills versus creativity. Most of the art teachers, when you teach students, I think you give them skills. You were talking about methods, tools. I wish they could also be made more creative. I'll give you one example. We are making a tricycle right now for disabled people, but it's a luxury tricycle. The only constant that we have put up is it has to be priced below 2 lakh. But it has to be better than the ones which you see in Italy. So we call, in our language, it's called design brief. I wish that this art could be combined with such design brief, because you need to make them curious. You need to make the artist creative. And that's one debate, which we need to sort out. That are we only imparting skills, or we are actually? It's like we all are cutting stones, but one makes the temple. So if you see that purpose behind it, and then try to develop the curiosity, I was fully in agreement with what he said. An artist can draw anything, and a designer can make anything, because the principles of design will be the same. Product, transportation, anything that you do. So this is one thing which you will have to bring in, that we must. When man was asking about the art and whether it's a therapy, there's a scientific evidence that it works as a therapy. And I don't know if your school follows Cambridge curriculum. There's a course on psychology. Go through an experiment where it says that when the teachers are teaching, the children were doodling. And what they found at the end of it, that doodling, the children who were doodling were actually more focused on what they were listening. So there was NLP, there was doodling. So in isolation we cannot learn anymore. That's one thing that you will have to be a little careful about. I sit on the board of Ethics of AI in Education for UNESCO. People have been talking about AI will replace artists. Trust me, not one artist will be replaced. Because the original data, you are the ones who feed the data. What you will see is the fight between one AI engines with the other AI engines. Each one of them will have differentiated data. As an artist, I think she emphasized on that point, you will have to keep the originality. But as an art teacher, please teach them how to work with AI. You don't have to be worried about it. How can I use generative idea or generative AI to make my drawing explore different forms? Because in design we have seen that, mostly when he was talking about cycle, he can make a cycle with the paper, with the cardboard, with the clay, with thermoforming, different mediums. But at the end of it, the client wants the cycle, right? He wants to see the form that he has in mind, or you have given it to him. So you will have to tell the art teachers that you have to be aware of what you're doing, the context, the purpose. We are going back to that because the purpose is very, very important. Skilling with AI to me appears just like, when we were talking about Y2K, we said that many jobs will be lost. We are doing a research on it, and I can promise you that AI will create more jobs than ever. It's just the transition period. People are getting more worried about it without understanding the real significance of this. You have a person in Bombay from IDC, and you must call him someday to your school, because he made a robot which is based on conversational AI. And this robot initially was drawn in India, made in China. Now the good news is It's drawn in India and now made in India. Very much in Bombay. But the best part is that the robot has been ranked the world's second finest robot in its segment. And Disney, as a company, has put in $28 million. So in the coming days, the schools will have to talk about man-machine interaction, whether you like it or dislike it. Will that replace the artist? The answer is no. So you'll have to be aware of business, you'll have to be aware of technology. As an art teacher, your responsibility is more. You cannot say that I will not learn anything, but I want to grow in life. That will not happen.
So my question is, how do we take them there? How do we make
True.
sure that the art teachers train enough to teach well?
That's what I'm saying. You'll have to upskill, you'll have to run training courses, you'll have to have talks with the experts who are sitting here, designers. Only then you learn. Learning is not only at the school. What you are teaching, I think AI, I hope you know that you are making machines to learn, right? And I always say that humankind has found it easy to make machine learn, but the most difficult thing is to make a man learn. You know, machines are learning because you are making them learn. And I believe that if you can make the machines learn, you can always make your teachers learn. Because this is what we do in good schools. You know, you're teaching the students to learn. You give them answers, I don't think they will really grow in life. But if you give them the art of questioning, I believe they will grow.
Okay. Okay. Another way to do this is to create a multi or an interdisciplinary environment so that they are exposed to, like Sir rightly said, the right kind of technology and tools, right? I think there is some gap there that we are also experiencing when the students do come in after school. So if there is a way to facilitate interdisciplinary learning, I think that would be immensely helpful. Also, I think if you're able to build a healthy competitive environment in terms of incentivizing, what if you have the students pair up with teachers and compete in a healthy environment for innovation, for ideation and things like that? You know, competition is one of the biggest motivators if done right. So these are the ways in which you could sort of incentivize and motivate them, and I think constant learning and exposure. If that can be done every term, they acquire a new skill each time that they're able to apply, and also have a feedback mechanism where, you know, they are held accountable for the new things that they've done. I think that helps immensely. That is what we do in our school as well, is that each faculty will also present things that they not only teach but they are passionate about to the entire faculty community. You know, that is how you know what the other person is interested in. So build an air of collaboration, and I think there will be a lot of growth at each level in that sense.
I had a small suggestion, maybe you already would have tried. You said you have 145 schools across India. Now, do all these teachers meet someday,
Yeah.
art teachers, and do some event or something?
We meet online every month.
So I was just thinking, if all 145 schools, Poddar ke, ek saath, they put up an exhibition once in a year in Mumbai or maybe Pune or some other place. It would be so interesting and encouraging for all faculties to work on that goal, which is something beyond typical academics. Okay. What we do is, at very small scale we have started at school, college school level, that every alternate week a faculty will put up his earlier work so that he gets introduced to the students in what he has done earlier. I mean, that also itself is a good, you know, we being an affiliated school, we have a lot of budgetary challenges, so we find all these ways to encourage people. Yeah.
You know, also, like a few of you are in administrative positions as well, and teachers who could always communicate to the administrators. Could we also look at this very lot of teachers probably visiting the campus, the colleges once, to actually get a sense of how big this is?
in comparison to the frame of reference that we have sitting in a school. We have gone through art training which had a frame of reference. We are in a school that's also a frame of reference. But probably visiting a campus would certainly widen our frame of reference, would probably help us far better and get far better equipped. How about putting some plan of action in place?
Works just fine for us.
I have a slightly different take on this. What I've noticed is, especially artists who become teachers or educators, I think many of them stop practicing. I'm sure we have some teachers, educators with us, they teach in class, they teach art, everything. But what have they done for their self? How many exhibitions have you held? So, we are so caught up in our work, we stop. That's one way to encourage them to bring their work out, old exhibitions. Because that is also help them understand what is really happening in the art world, give them a scope. Many things have been the FDPs that we have, faculty development programs. So which can be actually very useful. The term FDP is like quite tricky. So I know I'm still, after all these 21 years of teaching, I'm still trying to understand what this FDP is. Am I teaching something or am I wasting my colleagues' time? Okay, so this is a time when I'm conducting a program, it's called Faculty Development Program, where it's from the rural space or anyway probably the few zones coming together where you're holding an FDP, where you're training on latest. Probably I'm good at illustration. Can I get an update, probably upgrade myself to digital illustration with iPad and so many other gadgets coming in? Can I make a beginning at the very grassroots level? And what is really happening? Expose them to those kind of latest trends that is happening in art and design. I think probably that would motivate them. Once they start doing things for themselves and start displaying their work in exhibitions and other things, even encourage the students to see their work. Many a time we don't show our work to the students. Students even not even aware of what kind of work that you do. It is quite essential to bring out your work. Everybody has a particular style of work. Whether it is an applied, those days we used to call as commercial art, then it became applied art, then fine art. All these were there, but please bring out your work. I think that's the beginning at the grassroots level.
I agree with the brief and also many of the points mentioned. But I think when you talk about the word curriculum, curriculum means in a conceptual sense, which is like tick box. So faculty के मन में आता है, you have to tick all the boxes. And when you are wanting to tick all the boxes, you forget about the art aspect, the learnability aspect, the curiosity, whether the student is taking in the spirit that the curriculum is defined. And that tick boxing, everyone does tick box. MBAs, CEOs, goals achieved, targets achieved. Becoming an artist, you become a tick boxes. So I think in terms of curriculum, if you have a very broad goals in those curriculum rather than breaking down into many points, will help it achieve all this, like teachers connecting to their own art as a valid solution, teachers getting together to make something and inspiring students. And tick box and patterns is what I think, my perception, is what creative people inherently dislike. So if there are any patterns, you break them, like when someone said expose them to this or give them exposure to this. If it is something different from the pattern is what have to be, and that's why only point which I was coming to is curriculum should be very broad-ended so that there is a flexibility and there is a scope to do much more in that without not ticking the boxes. feeling guilty of not ticking the boxes.
Can I, is it okay to respond?
Sure, sure.
You know, the key issue that I'm seeing with, I think I'm loud. The key issue I'm seeing is the teachers are amazing artists, right? They do their work beautifully.
They do their work beautifully, but the challenge comes in classroom management. How do I communicate these ideas to the students, right? That's where I'm seeing the real gap in our country with teachers. And also with, as much as, as I design a curriculum, I want it to be open-ended. But when one teacher is managing 50 to 70 students in a classroom, it's very, very difficult. And they don't have an art room per se. They're managing this in a classroom, art on their tables. These realities, how do you keep true to the heart of art, but still manage it practically in a classroom? Right? Can I just leave you with that? Yeah.
That's a new challenge for me also. The curriculum there and everything has to be ticked. And I am seeing that curriculum is being met, but there is no depth in the students. I am ticking my box, student is ticking their box. Student is not actually doing that, but he is submitting something so that he has done something, but the depth is not there. So I think, so that was from that angle I was telling to make it a little less, so many points. It cannot be open-ended because it is, as a particular course is there, so it have to be like this. But a little broad and is what we can, because that there's a lot of thought required there in curriculum to make that way. Because the design happens inside, so that's what is a. If you're meeting for this pattern breaking events, then in those share a point, learn a few points. How can we do that? It should evolve like that. Is what I feel. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, please.
I would like to add something. Thank you, sir. Sir very rightly pointed out, art room is something very much essential. What happens at school, we give importance to science laboratories. We give importance to ICT laboratories. How many of us give importance to art room? So we are very happy and proud to have one separate art room for the primary section, one separate art room for the secondary section. When children enter into that art room, they enter into that zone of creativity, thinking creatively, and we have seen that difference ourselves. Once again, thanks to our management. Thank you, sir.
This question there. Yes.
I have one question. Actually, I'm not an art teacher, I'm a vocal music teacher, but I have a passion to become an art teacher. So my principal, she appointed me as an art teacher, and I'm very happy to be an art teacher. So I have one question. My question is not a curriculum, but my question is that I am dealing from nursery to till grade 8 student. So if I enter in grade 5 to till grade 7 student, there are 25 to 30 students. Some student they say that, ma'am, I want to learn sketch. 5 student will say, at a time. 5 student will say, ma'am, I want to learn landscape. And 5 student they will say, I want to learn portrait. And I am more good in landscape and craft, cutting. And 5 student to 10 student, they will say that I want to learn craft within 45 minutes. Little struggling, how I need to deal. Would you please suggest me?
Very interesting question, I think, for all the teachers. Have you heard of Froebel? A gentleman called Froebel? Have you heard of Froebel? No. This gentleman was playing with certain kids in a village in Germany, and that led to the establishment of all the kindergartens in future. Was that a classroom? Maria Montessori, she based her thesis also on Froebel's It's called Froebel's Gifts. And why there was no classroom management issue? Because they were using Froebel's Gifts. So you engage the children, which were project-based. Coming to your scenario, he also suggested, which later on became theory of multiple intelligence, Howard Gardner. And he said that you have to promote what is called interest stops. When you take them into the art room, people will have different interests. Now, how do you nurture that interest will solve even the problem that she was mentioning. You can have 60 children, you can have 80 children, you can have 100 children. We are working on a project this year where we are bringing together more than 250 PhDs, covering 600,000 villages, going to identify data-driven models, and then coming out with design solutions. The project is headed by 3 people. One is Ted Landon. I don't know if you know Fortune at the bottom of pyramids. C.K. Prahlad. So Ted is the chairman of University of Michigan for that Fortune at the bottom of pyramids. All that I am telling you is set up a project. If you really want to motivate your teachers, get the teachers from different schools. Possibly that could be a beginning of our. Ask them to draw what they want, or we can come with some projects. Let them draw first. We will make sure that from the drawing till the time it's execution, you will see it happening. And when you see it happening, your confidence goes up. Please duplicate that approach in the classroom with the kids. Nobody will be absent, and you'll not. It's not a problem of art. It's not a problem of subject. It's a problem of engagement, whether students are engaged or not. And you'll have to learn that, how to manage that diversity, because usually we are very smart, we just go out and say, keep your mouth shut and sit down. That approach is not going to work. You'll have to bring Froebel back in the classroom. You'll have to develop those gifts once again. This time the gifts will be different.
Hello everybody, this is an amazing session and I'm truly enjoying it. I had a question, I have a question. Art nowadays is also looked upon as a form of investment and it is really gaining a lot of popularity in India. Could you please throw some light on it? Is there actually a return, a high return value when people buy art? I just wanted to know about this.
I can answer that. I'm a collector myself. So I collect Tanjore paintings, which are ASI certified. So they run into few lakhs. Unfortunately, I have also inherited a lot of things from my great-grandfather, from my ancestral house. So it is definitely an investment. I tell you what, on that note, there was an emergency, there was a financial crunch when I had to liquidate, I had to just needed the money. A painting which I had acquired like for 1.2 lakhs went for 4.5. Okay, people value that. But of course, it's not like any kind of a piece of jewelry or silver or gold where you go and it doesn't happen that way. Okay, there are certain markets, it takes time. But it is definitely an investment, especially if it has also coming from a very well-known, I'm not talking about just antiques, I'm just talking about even paintings, things coming from a very well-known, reputed artists. It makes a lot of difference. So it could be a sculpture, it could be a painting, it could be any kind of an artifact, even it could be a mixed media. So these have a good investment.
So it will never end like this. So one question, one of the students wants to ask something, one question from a student, and then we will have to wind up the session. There is, we are nation builders, and they have stopped trucks on the Gurubandha Road highway because ARC was happening today. No, Mr. Modi is coming, another nation builder is coming, but we are the first one. So we need to wind up and make sure that we are out of Kodbandar Road before his traffic kicks in. So last one question from a student and then we'll wind up. Okay.
My question was that how are standardized tests like AAT or NATA important for careers in art or something like that?
The test like sorry.
He's asking about entrance test. Yes.
Yeah, so it's just an entrance test. In life, you face certain realities. This is one of them. So if you want to go into certain stream, I believe you'll have to be ready for it. The only thing that I can tell you is don't give up. You know, people have misconception that if you don't go into so-called the branded names, you don't become success. There's no correlation between going to ABC school and non-ABC school and success. So if you don't get into what you're trying for, try for the next one. Try for the next one, but don't give up.
So can we say design college selection is like a marriage? You don't marry Mr. Universe.
Actually, you do.
No, Mr. Universe for you, not the Mr. Universe.
No, I'm saying that, for example, in cycle, will be something this universe with heat design. So unless I'm passionate about it or I feel that this is the best that's coming out of my efforts, I think that's what it is.
No, sir. What I meant was, as you said, you don't have to go to the best design college to become a designer. So that's why I said, design college is like a marriage. What's right for you, rather than trying to go to the best and say that I'll only become a designer if I go to the best.
Yeah, but in marriage also it's a gambling.
Again, I would add to that point, there is nothing has something like called as the best college. Every school has their own specialization. Some are project driven, some look at design in a very different way. So it's definitely a gamble. Good gamble though.
Last question. So I just want to ask that, like, I don't want to name my organization, but then there's a problem of value of art nowadays in schools. Now what I want to say is value of art, that is like the students are excellent. I mean by excellent in the sense they are very talented, they have the skill set, and we want to take it ahead as an art teacher. We have that vision, and when it comes for the execution part, there are few schools who are not that understanding, or they don't have the skill set or to understand the art. So that time as an art teacher or maybe as an art faculty, how can I face this issue? Because technically I'm facing it nowadays.
So we'll plan a session for principals. Much needed, sir, right?
I think there's a gap in the applicability of things, right? There's no dearth of talent. I mean, we'll all agree that there is ample talent here. I think the gap lies in where does this talent apply? Where does it rightly apply? Right? So I think if you're able to demonstrate, like the best example I could give was when Sir quoted those numbers, we were all sold in on the fact that design is a great career, right? So back up your talent with numbers and show them places where this talent can be applied in the right kind of manner. I think it is important for you to first feel the conviction that, my students are great and they have great potential, and these are the places where I envision my students to be. When you have that conviction, you're able to also convince your management or your school or your institute, anywhere else. Lead by example, show them the proof. I think that is what is needed, because many a times there are great artists who never get that kind of exposure. The best we can do is to give them that kind of platform where they are able to exhibit or they are able to demonstrate the sheer talent that they have.
One small point. See, ISRO made our spaceship with the budget that typical Hollywood film have. Okay, so if you have any such challenges, I think there are a lot of alternative and creative ways by which you can overcome that. Now, at another level, if acceptance of a creative people in that group is a problem, then educating them in again some other way, showing more work, exposing them to such things, making them attend such events will probably make a big difference to them. Okay.
But can I end the session with a question? I want to ask a question to you.
Yes.
How many times did you go beyond the classroom to learn yourself and bring that into the classroom?
So many times after.
Then you are on the right path.
Because then art has different aspects, as you
No,
said.
because you have avenues available today to learn anything that you want.
Yes.
It's about the space and timing.
Correct.
So if you are there, I think that start also will be pretty good. Have you heard of MOOCs? MOOCs are where now there's a new trend coming in education, particularly in higher education. You don't need to pay 1 rupee for your MBA. It's free. So you earn credits, then you meet over tea, coffee, whichever city you are in. Then you earn more credits. You go on earning the credits, maybe after 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, you earn the MBA. So the world has begun to realize that it's no more degree or the marks that will dominate, it's the learning, it's the skill.
So,
Possible, can I just ask? If possible. Sorry, but the absolute last one, please. Sorry, on the schedule.
Okay, nowadays there is more exposure to digital marketing or digital art, I would say. So, can you just throw light on how fine art or literally the art pieces that go in a gallery and get exposure, how can students look on that aspect also?
Actually, I think there was aversion to art in the first place for all these until the 90s and the 2000s is because art had only that outlet. Gallery mein jayega, sale hoga. So that's not the only outlet for art is what the first condition I think we need to get for ourselves as an art community. And in fact, the art community, watercolor, which I am involved in, they are having their exhibitions at their stages when they have accomplished something or area that they have explored. But more, they are earning from educating art. There are a lot of people who are interested in painting or any other art, and they are getting more out of that. Not just the earnings, the joy, the happy faces of people who learn from them, and the fact that they were able to tell those, get them learned. So it's very different. So gallery is just one way of thinking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, I'm going to add one last bit to this. Apart from the gallery, there is also a lot of people are trying to revive some of these dying art forms into the residential spaces as well. In my brother-in-law's ancestral house, which is around 200 years old, they have got artisans which they replicate the Nayaka paintings on the walls. A lot of these resorts and other big, how they replicate or they redo the Kerala murals on the walls. So it's not just exhibition, there's a full training session also happens for these kind of art forms.
Students also need to be exposed to these
Yes.
kind of arts because students are nowadays more active on digital media or how will I
Got it. So that can also be digitally transferred.
Correct.
That's possible. So please follow. A lot of exhibitions happen at CSMV's museum, both digital and traditional art form. And a lot of things happen. People use those paintings even for the decor.
Correct. Right.
So the entire series from the Lepakshi painting was replicated at somebody's house on the ceiling, above the dining table. A lot of possibilities.
all right. We don't want the session to end, but we have to end it. So I'd like to propose a vote of thanks. And I'd like to do it in a very creative way. So, पता है जब महाभारत का युद्ध खत्म हुआ ना, तो सबने महाभारत का युद्ध कैसे देखा? आंखों से, बराबर? बट महाभारत में एक कैरेक्टर था जिन्होंने उस युद्ध को दिव्य दृष्टि से देखा. Who was that? Exactly. So at the end of the महाभारत war, जब युद्ध खत्म हुआ, तो धृतराष्ट्र ने संजय से पूछा कि मुझे बताओ दिव्य दृष्टि से देखकर कि हम कैसे हारे. So संजय ने दिव्य दृष्टि से देखा महाभारत का युद्ध और कहा कि कुछ नहीं होता था, बस एक सुदर्शन चक्र आता सबको काट के चला जाता. और क्रेडिट किसको मिला? पांडवों को. Exactly the same way, the first person, the first entity I want to thank is God. You know, we may appreciate you came, I did this, I took initiative this, but it is when our intentions are right, it is He who manifests through us. Okay? So my first thank is to the Divine for, you know, somewhere encouraging us, for somewhere, you know, putting that power into us to get together for a good cause. I want to thank all the panelists. You know, I look at all of you as a library, and we only got to spend a few hours into it. And neither the flow wanted to end from there nor from here. Like, ma'am called me and said, I have to go, I have a schedule, and yet she wants to answer the question. So, you know, thank you for this amazing, what can I say? I mean, I don't have words for it. This experience of being into a library for 2 hours, the library of experiences that we had for decades. It came, all of it came for us together. I'd like to thank the CP Goenka International School Management. Okay. Sure, ma'am.
So good afternoon, everyone. I didn't get a chance to speak, but being the founder principal of the school, this was one of the dreams that we had right from the inception of the school. And we're very, very happy that we got all the motivation from the management, and they just acknowledged the passion which Nitin Shah sir displayed as an art teacher to take art and design as a subject definitely to a different level and create the kind of awareness. So, and then it was backed by the principal's passion, and all of us put together. It was thoroughly encouraged by Mr. and Mrs. Goenka and our director, Mrs. Deepa Bhushan. And since the philosophy of the school is all about preparing children as global citizens and teaching them all the 21st century skills of being creative and collaboration and communication, and we are actually living by the vision and the mission set by our trustees. And I'm so glad that here we are with this initiative of promoting art and design as a subject. And we realized when we were doing the little bit of a research that all of them who were present here felt that they never had this kind of a presence or this kind of a workshop or some place where they could connect with such learned people like you all are for basic answers. And I'm so glad to hear all the examples that all of you gave. साइकिल बनाया है, कुछ पेंटिंग किया है, कुछ failures face किया है, stress भी आता है. And I'm so glad that sir is available with so much AI knowledge and direction for all the art teachers in schools per se. So I'm very, very grateful to all of you to have come here today. And on behalf of our management, I really, really thank you. But I don't want to put this as an end or even just a small little comma. We'd like to request you to please make some time for our students. We have a school, we're 10 schools now, and many more in the pipeline, and we would like to bring art and design as a subject to all our campuses. So from time to time we request you to address them, guide them, and above all a small little workshop, if I can take the liberty to say, for our art teachers, maybe to teach them how to think, to train the brains of children. I think the art teachers need to make a wonderful beginning there. And once again, thank you so much for coming today. We're very, very happy that you are kind of encouraging us, your presence has motivated us to further instill all the lovely 21st century skills, preparing them to be global citizens. So thank you so much.
So I just want to convey the message of our director, Ms. Deepa Bhushan. Deepa Bhushan ma'am physically could not make it here because she was busy with MISA event up there. And she watched the program on YouTube Live, and it is fabulous program. So she has congratulated all of you all who are present here, and thank you so much. She has also conveyed thanks to me. And we are looking forward to having many more programs is the message that I wanted to convey. Thank you.
Can I take a couple of sentences? So again, it's a really amazing initiative to start something like this. I haven't come across such ideas started by a school to have art and design teachers together in one event. We generally meet in some corporate events or some kind of event. History actually happens when we read and look at it. But I think this is very historical, and I request you to continue this and grow this thing further so that something interesting can come up. As you said, ma'am, it is not that we are capable to train art teacher at your place, but it is going to be more of an interaction and learning from each other. Because teaching kids is like an absolute high level job compared to what we do for 18 to 22-year-old students. And so probably we'll be learning a lot from all of you. Thanks.
One concluding statement from what he said. We also have a selfish motive here. Being a design educator, you give us the best. Because it saves our work. So we don't invest on the foundation, so we invest more on teaching than design. So that's something we are looking at. And again, you're definitely not teachers, you're also educators.
Yes. So I'm very happy that CP Goenka International School believes in collaboration and competition. And being a part of this esteemed institution, I had a long-standing dream which got manifested today, of bringing everybody to collaborate together. When you're going on a rocky road, what do you need? Shock absorbers, right? And Jayashree ma'am is an absolute shock absorber. Like, you have to walk into her office and say, ma'am, somebody said something to me. Ma'am said, I value you. And it's done. It's over. So, ma'am, you make us so comfortable. I mean, we are able to be what we are because of who you are. Lata ma'am not here. Okay, we could say Lata ma'am. I mean, if I have to give a title to Lata ma'am, she's like a genie. You have to tell her. I called her up in the morning and I was like, "Where are my tables?" And 15 minutes the tables were here.
She's the administrator of
she's the administrative head. Okay, and she's genie in another way. You have to walk into her office and she's dealing with a contractor. And she's like, and she looks at me and she, "Haan, Nitin, boliye." The quickness which she changes the expressions, it's just amazing. Now we also have a Kuber in school, our Seema ma'am. So a big thank you to her. Okay, Vasant sir. Yes, she's the accounts head. Okay, Vasant sir. I mean, all the students that we saw on the way, the discipline that they are in, like, they have to just know Vasant sir is on the campus and they'll all fall in line. Now, when you drive a vehicle, what are the two most important things? Acceleration and brake. And you need both of them to be good, right? That's our Sharmila ma'am. Absolute acceleration, and she knows where to brake it. Alright. So, our headmistresses and coordinators, okay, you are like a foundation. Foundation is never seen, okay, but the whole building stands on it. So they are absolutely like a foundation, okay. We are able to be what we are again because, we are able to rise tall because the foundation is strong. So thank you, ma'am. And Well, very important, the art department teachers. Okay, they are like pillars. I mean, the roof could not have stood without them. Yesterday I told all of them, I was like, I have to write stuff, I am still not prepared. And you have to do this, do this, do this. It was like an absolute 2 hours, everything was just done in a jiffy. And I was like, okay, how did that happen? So, you guys are like pillars, okay? I mean, this could not have stood without you all.
And I'd like to add here, just by looking at their portfolio, we selected them on of course on their ability and also how good she is as a human being. It was reflected in her work, and the way all of them are holding their exhibitions and creating more portfolios, displays. I mean, we judged them like that, and it was so true. Today they are all collaborating and working together as a team. It really works well.
The YouTube Live team and the photography team, okay, thank you very much. You know, you really took the whole event from a local to a national event. Because, sir, we've already received invite for art from schools in Bangalore, schools in Dehradun, schools in Delhi. So we've received multiple invites. Schools want us to come and do art there. So we are really looking at that. All the teachers who have come for this, you know, you all burned to give light, okay, and you all came on a Saturday morning. Some of you travelled across. I saw a whole discussion on Visa Group, and I felt so amazing last night that who's going to the art convention, who's going, which road are you taking, which route you all supporting each other. So looking at that excitement, okay, so I thought you all are like a constellation of stars, okay, in a dark sky. Art still needs a lot of light. So thank you very much for coming. Okay, without you, this event would not have been what it is. Okay. Well, where is Kapilesh? Can we please call him? All right. So our dear students, thank you very much. You know, when we were having a meeting with students, so we told them we make the effort. Our efforts are like a cake with white icing on it. You all are like the sprinkles on it. You know, that's what makes it beautiful. So it's when the students manage the show, it adds up a lot for the students. For the whole year. Okay. So, Kapilesh, maybe have you on the stage, please? You know, we a lot of times speak of the roof, the pillar and everything, right? Do we speak of the walls? What do the walls do? They keep the inside storm inside and the outside storm outside. That's what Kapilesh did for us. He would be pressured from him. I want the panelists today. I need to make the creative. And he would say, हाँ sir, हो जाएगा. हाँ sir, हो जाएगा. And he had the storm outside as well, which he really well managed. Okay, so thank you for everything. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for everything. Right? So, last but not the least, you know, everything gets done and we really don't understand how. Okay, today in the morning when I walked into the school at 7:30, I felt it's only going to be me. And there I saw our support staff supervisor instructing the whole support staff. By the way, sir, there are three events happening in the school at the same time today. And they managed everything just, you know, I mean, nobody just realized how everything got managed. So thank you to the support staff. Now, you know, before we move to the lunch, I have very few, requests to make. Okay, and we would also like to have a group photograph with all of you. No need to take pictures. We will upload all the pictures on a drive. Okay, and we will be sending an email to all of you. So in that email, you will receive a drive link. Alright, even the group photo, please don't give your phones to students to, take pictures. Alright. Second thing, your ID cards, if you look at the back of your ID card, it either has an A or a B written on it. So what we would request you to do is The A's move out first for lunch so that you don't have to spend time in the passage. There's one lunch counter, and then there are 6 classrooms for lunch. You could take your plate and then sit in one of the classrooms with your friends to have lunch. Okay? On the way out, please, okay, now because Mr. Modi is coming, we wanted to wind up the event actually at 12:30, it's already 12:45. Alright, so we have to cancel the individual facilitation which we actually wanted to do. Okay, so on your way out, there is a tote bag which has all the university brochures in them, and you can also collect your certificate from the counter when you are leaving. Alright? Okay, so can we please have you all line up for the group picture? We will go after.
There's only A and B. We have Gen Z.
Those of you who want to give feedbacks, you may stay back. Bhavna ma'am, can you please wave at everybody?